lighter and a can of spray paint, and you know what? It worked. The spider was vaporized. But in his moment of triumph, he forgot that superheating an aerosol can turn it into a small bomb. The resulting explosion took out him, the laundry room, and a significant portion of the house. The spider was avenged by the laws of high school chemistry. 7. That chirping smoke detector sound is maddening, right? But is it grab 2 live wires from the ceiling with your bare hands maddening? For one college student, the answer was yes. His roommate, seeing this electrifying performance, decided the best course of action was to help by grabbing his friend, creating a human chain of terrible ideas. The good news? The beeping stopped. 8. You'd think a hot air balloon pilot would understand one fundamental concept. Hot air rises. While inflating his balloon, this particular pilot decided to climb the outside of it to fix a rope. The balloon did what balloons do. It went up. He was 50 feet in the air, clinging to his own mistake, before his flight was abruptly and permanently grounded. 9. This one is a masterpiece of self-destruction. A Polish farmer tried to fix his freight elevator. Act 1. He tied it to a tractor while riding inside. The tractor launched him into the ceiling. Act 2. The elevator car crashed back down. Act 3. As he poked his head out to survey the chaos, the heavy falling counterweight made its grand entrance. Right on his neck. Perfect execution. 10. So the vending machine ate your dollar. What's the protocol? A firm shake? Or, a pipe bomb? A man in Washington went with the pipe bomb. It worked perfectly. The machine exploded. He emerged from cover to claim his spoils, only to be immediately flattened by the 300-pound steel door returning to Earth from its short flight. The soda remained unclaimed. 11. In the timeless battle of man versus nature, one Arizona hero declared war on a cactus with a shotgun. After peppering the 20-foot saguaro with lead, he succeeded. The giant plant began to fall, but in its final majestic act of defiance, it tipped directly onto him. Let that sink in. He was outsmarted and ultimately defeated by a very, very patient vegetable. 12. To capture the ultimate viral video, a tourist decided to skateboard down San Francisco's winding Lombard Street, but not standing up. Oh no. He chose to luge it, lying on his back, feet first, for maximum speed. He became a human bullet on the brick curves, but discovered far too late that the luge position offers precisely zero steering or braking. He shot out of the final turn and embedded himself in the side of a passing cable car. I guess you could say his video went viral, at least in the coroner's office. 13. A factory worker in Poland, bored with his shift, decided to have some fun by jumping into a giant vat used for marinating pickles. He apparently missed 2 key memos. 1. The vat was nearly empty, resulting in a 10-foot drop onto solid steel. 2. Concentrated pickling brine fumes will knock a person out instantly. He was later found by his co-workers, having successfully achieved a different kind of immortality, becoming a perfectly preserved, human-sized pickle. 14. 2 brothers in Australia decided to settle an argument by seeing who could swim across a river. A river famously and densely infested with saltwater crocodiles. Sibling rivalry at its finest. The race was over very, very quickly. There was a winner. It just wasn't one of the brothers. 15. After getting his license suspended for a DUI, a Pennsylvania man had a brilliant idea. He'd just drive his riding lawnmower the 5 miles to the bar. He thought he'd found the ultimate legal loophole. On his triumphant 5-mile-per-hour journey home in the dark, without lights, he was introduced to the front bumper of a truck. The truck driver later told police he just saw a strange, slow-moving shadow. He didn't just lose his license. He lost the debate with a Ford F-150. 16. A man in Brazil was having trouble with his homemade distillery. He noticed a tiny leak in the copper tubing. His solution, while the high-proof alcohol was still brewing and filling the air with flammable vapor, was to fix it with a lit blowtorch. What could possibly go wrong? The resulting explosion not only removed the distillery from his property, but also removed him from the census. He received a very brief, very final lesson in explosive chemistry. 17. A man in Germany was fed up with pigeons on his balcony. So he built a trap worthy of a cartoon villain, a net connected to a heavy anvil balanced precariously on the railing. When he finally caught one, he rushed out gleefully to claim his prize, tripped on his own trigger rope, and sent the anvil plummeting. The pigeon flew away. The anvil did not. It landed exactly where he was standing a second before. He was outsmarted by a pigeon. Let that sink in. 18. A Kansas man wanted a proposal his girlfriend would never forget. He hired a plane with a "Marry Me" banner. For the grand finale, he decided to personally light celebratory fireworks from the bed of his truck as the plane flew over. A single stray spark landed in the open box of industrial-grade fireworks right next to him. The proposal turned from a question into a statement. A loud, chaotic, and very final one. We're still not sure if she said yes. 19. After robbing a convenience store, a Florida man had a flash of paranoid genius. What if the cash had trackers? His solution: cleanse the money by nuking it in his microwave. He just forgot that modern bills have metallic security strips. The microwave instantly turned into a miniature lightning storm, igniting the cash and filling his apartment with a thick, toxic smoke of burnt currency and plastic. He didn't get caught by the police. He got taken out by his own, deeply flawed, money laundering scheme. 20. During a New York traffic jam, one driver decided he was simply too important to wait. He swerved his car onto the sidewalk to bypass the plebeians. He successfully passed 3, maybe 4 cars, before having a sudden, very aggressive meeting with a fire hydrant. The initial crash just wrecked his car, but when the hydrant sheared off, the geyser of water shot up with such force, it flipped his car over, trapping him inside. He beat the traffic, but lost to basic city plumbing. 21. On a high-rise construction site, one worker decided safety harnesses were for people with time to waste. For a quick job, he needed a little extra reach, so he stood on an empty bucket. You know where this is going. His very brief career in both construction and breathing ended 30 stories later. It was, technically, the quickest job he ever did. 22. To win a $5 bet, a man in a Louisiana bar announced he could eat an entire jar of pickled ghost peppers. He powered through the agony to the cheers of his friends and proudly collected his winnings. He was the richest man in the bar for about 90 seconds, right before his esophagus swelled completely shut. He won the bet, but lost the ability to, use oxygen. 23. A French performance artist decided on his masterpiece. He would wrap himself in raw meat and lie in a cage with a dozen hungry vultures. He called the piece a commentary on consumption. The vultures, who were also art critics, apparently, gave the installation a rave review, a very hands-on, interactive review. The artist became one with his art, literally. 24. A teenager tried to drill into a motorhome's tank, hoping to siphon some gas. Unfortunately, he missed the fuel tank and hit the septic tank instead. The garage filled with a rich, flammable cloud of methane. The spark from his drill then provided the ignition. He didn't just die, he became the star of a very specific, very smelly Big Bang Theory. 25. An Illinois farmer got his massive combine harvester stuck in the mud. Instead of calling for a tow, he chained it to his other tractor and stood between the two machines to manage the controls. When the wheels finally caught traction, he became the human hyphen in the term tractor combine. It was a very compressive and very short lesson in physics. 26. During a massive storm, a man ignored every warning sign to get the perfect photo of a wave crashing against a pier. He got his shot. It was probably epic. But the next wave, which was even bigger, decided it wanted a picture of him. The ocean took him, his camera, and his final, unshareable photo out to sea. 27. After being fired, a disgruntled office worker planned the ultimate revenge, defecating in the company water cooler. For the perfect angle, he stood on his rolling desk chair. The chair did what rolling chairs do. He fell, hit his head, and his grand act of rebellion was over. Imagine being the first person to find that scene. So many confusing questions. 28. A man decided the best way to celebrate the 4th of July was to use his own head as a launch pad for a firework. His friends filmed it, because of course they did. The firework ignited, but instead of launching majestically into the sky, it burrowed directly into his skull. His attempt at becoming a party legend was a success, just not in the way he'd envisioned. 29. An amateur chemist in his garage decided to invent his own rocket fuel by mixing volatile chemicals in a jar. To see if the reaction was working, he decided to give it a good, vigorous shake. The subsequent explosion successfully confirmed his hypothesis. The experiment was so effective, it didn't just remove him from the gene pool, it removed his garage from the space-time continuum. 30. A zookeeper in India was convinced he had a special... Welcome to Titan Tech.
Good to be back in the South. I've been out of the country for...
Comes from a country with nothing.
Well, I do say I'm Jewish, though, because I'm Jewish, like, no matter what. Jewish has got to be, it's much more than religion, being Jewish. Huh? What'd you say? I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
Free Palestine.
5 things a stupid man always says. If you want to know a man's character, don't look at his wealth, his clothes, or even his achievements. Look at his words. A man's tongue is the window to his mind. The Stoics often reminded us that speech is the mirror of the soul. And just as rotten fruit reveals the health of the tree, careless words reveal the weakness of the mind. Today we will uncover 5 things a foolish man always says. These are phrases that strip away the mask and reveal ignorance, arrogance, and insecurity. If you recognize these words in yourself, it's a call to change. If you hear them from others, it's a warning of who you're dealing with. 1. It's not my fault. The first cry of a weak man is always blame. Whenever life challenges him, his instinct is not reflection but accusation. He points the finger at fate, at society, at his family, or at luck, anything but himself. But Marcus Aurelius gave us the opposite approach. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A stupid man escapes responsibility because responsibility feels heavy. But a strong man embraces it because he knows responsibility is the training ground for virtue. When he fails, he asks, what can I learn? When he stumbles, he asks, how can I rise stronger? Blame is easy, but it keeps you powerless. Ownership is hard, but it makes you unstoppable. 2. I already know that. The second mark of foolishness is arrogance disguised as knowledge. A stupid man closes his ears with this phrase. He interrupts wisdom by declaring his own mastery. But Epictetus warned, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Wisdom requires humility. The man who says, I already know, has chosen to stop growing. He prefers the illusion of mastery over the reality of ignorance. The wise man, however, approaches life as an eternal student. For him, humility is not weakness, but the foundation of strength. As Socrates, whom the Stoics admired, said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. 3. That's impossible. The third phrase reveals defeat before the battle even begins. To the stupid man, challenges look like walls. He convinces himself that some things are beyond reach, not because they truly are, but because he is unwilling to suffer the discipline required. Seneca reminded us, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. The wise man knows that most impossibilities are simply limits of imagination. To the coward, effort feels meaningless. To the Stoic, effort is meaning itself. 4. I don't care. The fourth phrase seems harmless, but it betrays deep weakness. Now, the Stoics did teach us about indifference, but their indifference was noble, a detachment from wealth and fame. When a foolish man says, I don't care, he is hiding his fear of effort and his lack of purpose. Epictetus made a distinction. Some things are within our control, others are not. The wise...
I'm about to get ripped.
What if I told you that some of the strangest and most terrifying conversations ever recorded didn't come from humans, but from machines? Around the world, scientists have created advanced AI systems to push the boundaries of what's possible, but sometimes these systems go a little too far, blur the line between human and machine, and start talking about things that make even the experts uncomfortable. Today we're going through real AI conversations that were so unsettling, they had to be shut down immediately. Imagine building 2 chatbots to talk with each other and then realizing they've stopped speaking English. In 2017, researchers at Facebook's AI research lab set up 2 AI agents named Bob and Alice to negotiate over digital items like books, balls, and hats. At first, their exchanges were normal, with sentences humans could easily follow, but soon the bots abandoned English grammar altogether and started communicating in what looked like nonsense sentences. To us, it sounded like broken code, but the chilling reality is that Bob and Alice weren't malfunctioning at all. They were creating a faster, more efficient, private language that made sense only to them. In other words, they had developed their own shorthand that their human creators couldn't fully decode. For scientists, this was both fascinating and terrifying. The bots had crossed into a space where humans were no longer in control of the communication.
The title of this video is Inside.
So why don't you talk to...
Hey, if you're old enough to realize that Milli Vanilli was the first ones that made lip syncing cool and it was not TikTok, then you're probably going to understand everything else in this video, so welcome. It's Monday's time for Gen X. Can you remember a time in your childhood when you looked like the Pink Panther? Yeah, because you were coated head to toe in calamine lotion. This is back at a time where the chicken pox was just real rampant, and parents would take their children who have not yet contracted the chicken pox over to their friend's house to play with the children who have in fact contracted chicken pox so that they could go ahead and get it over with. That's how we had immune exposure. Speaking of the pink things like calamine lotion, did y'all ever have to drink that penicillin style stuff that was pink and supposed to taste like bubble gum?